A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv Global News at 12. I am Ruth Ogbodu and now the news in detail. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has expressed serious concern over reported plans by the United States to acquire Greenland, warning that such actions could deepen divisions within the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and undermine European security. The report.
Speaking on the issue, Tusk cautioned that any attempt by a NATO member to pursue territorial acquisition, especially involving a strategically sensitive region like Greenland, would strain alliance built on mutual trust and shared democratic values. He emphasized that NATO's strength lies in unity and cooperation, not unilateral action that could provoke internal discord. Greenland, an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, occupies a key strategic position in the Arctic, a region of growing geopolitical importance due to climate change, emerging shipping routes, and competition among global powers. The territory is already home to a U.S. military presence under existing defense agreements with Denmark, a fellow NATO member. Poland's warning reflects broader European unease about the implication of any move that could be perceived as coercive or dismissive of international norms. Stress that respecting sovereignty and established alliance is essential at a time when Europe faces heightened security challenges, including ongoing tension with Russia and instability along NATO's eastern flank. He further noted that internal disputes within NATO could weaken the alliance's collective ability to respond to external threats. At a moment when unity is most needed, any action that risks division sends the wrong signal to both allies and adversaries, Tusk said. Danish officials have previously reaffirmed that Greenland is not for sale, underscoring that any discussion about its future must involve the people of Greenland and respect Denmark's constitutional framework. Poland, a key NATO member in Central and Eastern Europe, has consistently advocated for strong transatlantic relations while also urging adherence to international law and multilateral decision-making. Tusk's remark highlights growing concern among European leaders that unilateral geopolitical ambition could erode the cohesion of one of the world's most important military alliances. Favour Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
United States President Donald Trump has criticized the Super Bowl LX halftime show headlined by Puerto Rican global music star Bad Bunny, describing the performance as absolutely terrible in a social media post following the event. The report.
Bad Bunny, whose name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocasio, led the halftime show during Super Bowl LX held at Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara, California. The performance was notable for being delivered largely in Spanish and for centering on reggaeton and Latin music, genres that have gained significant global popularity in recent years. The show featured elaborate stage design, high-energy choreography, and performances of several of the artist's major hits. In his post, Trump strongly condemned both of choice of performer and content of the show. He argued that the halftime performance did not meet what he described as appropriate standard for an event watched by millions of Americans and viewers worldwide. Trump also questioned the decision to showcase a predominantly Spanish-language performance at one of the most prominent American sporting events. Trump's comments quickly drew public attention and fueled debate online, with supporters echoing his criticism, while others pushed back, defending the performance and emphasizing the growing influence of Latino culture in the United States. Some critics of Trump accused him of dismissing cultural diversity, while supporters argued that the Super Bowl halftime show should appeal to the broad American audience. Bad Bunny's appearance marked a significant milestone in Super Bowl history, as it became one of the few artists to headline the halftime show with a set primarily in Spanish. His performance was widely discussed on social media platforms, drawing mixed reactions ranging from praise for cultural representation and energy to criticism over musical style and language choice. The National Football League has not issued any official response to Trump's remarks. Bad Bunny has also not publicly reacted to the criticism as of the time of reporting. The Super Bowl halftime shows remains one of the most watched musical performances globally each year, often generating intense public debate and scrutiny over artistic choices, cultural representation, and audience. Evelyn Isibile reporting for BTV News.
Moderate socialist candidate Antonio José Serrego secured a decisive victory in Portugal's presidential runoff, winning a 5-year term with approximately 66 to 67% of the vote, against far-right challenger André Ventura, who received around 33 to 34%, according to official results and exit polls. The report.
The election, held amid unpredictable weather and storms that delayed voting in some regions, saw turnout among Portugal's 11 million eligible voters remain steady. Sugueiros, 63, will succeed outgoing President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa in March, following the traditional inauguration ceremony. In his victory speech, Seguro emphasized unity and democratic stability, pledging to work impartially with all political parties. He highlighted priorities such as improving healthcare, housing, employment, and social welfare, and promised to protect Portugal's democratic institutions while fostering national cohesion. Ventura, 43, leader of the far-right Chega party, conceded defeat but stressed his party's growing influence, noting that the shares of votes for the far-right had increased compared with previous elections. While the Portuguese presidency is largely ceremonial, it holds significant powers, including the ability to dissolve parliament, veto legislation, and influence government formation. Political analysts note that Seguro victory reaffirms mainstream democratic support while highlighting the rising presence of far-right forces in Portugal. Ventura's stronger performance reflects broader European trends of populist and nationalist movements gaining traction, posing a challenge to traditional parties. Although the socialist candidate achieved a landslide victory, the election signals a more polarized political landscape, with the far-right now firmly established as a significant opposition force in Portuguese politics. Evelyn Isibile reporting for BTV News.
Ahead of Super Bowl LX on Sunday, activists distributed thousands of toys reading "I See Arts" to fans entering Levi Stadium, using the high-profile sporting event as a platform to highlight concerns over U.S. immigration enforcement. The report.
Volunteers from local immigrant rights groups handed out the towels near stadium entrance, encouraging fans to wave them during the game. Organizers said the effort was designed to draw public attention to what they described as harsh and inhuman practice by U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement (ICE). The action was part of a larger demonstration called Flags in the Stands, coordinated by a coalition of artists, musicians, and community organizers in the Bay Area. The towels featured political artwork by cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz and QR codes linking attendees to advocacy resources, with the goal of creating a visible show of support for immigrant communities during one of the most watched events on U.S. television. Reactions from fans varied widely. Some accepted and waved the towels, signaling agreement with the message, while others declined the hangouts or left them behind, reflecting different views among Super Bowl attendees. Organizers acknowledged the mixed reception but emphasized the importance of making immigration issue visible in public spaces. The protest coincided with ongoing national debates over immigration enforcement, while NFL officials and federal authorities confirmed there were no planned ICE operation connected to Super Bowl activities. Organizers and activists pointed to increased immigration rates in other U.S. cities as justification for their demonstration. The initiative reflects a growing trend of political and social activism intersecting with major cultural and sporting events, highlighting contentious national issue in highly visible settings. Favor Kolawole reporting for BTV News.
At least 9 people have died and multiple others were wounded after 2 adjoining residential buildings collapsed on Sunday in the Bar Al Tabane neighborhood of Tripoli. The head of the municipal council and civil defense officials said the death toll has risen from earlier reports of 6 fatalities as search and rescue teams continued operations. The reports.
The house-story structure, each containing about 6 apartments and reportedly housing at least 22 residents at the time of the collapse, gave way in one of the city's most densely populated and impoverished districts. Rescue crews, aided by the Lebanese Red Cross and local volunteers, have pulled at least 6 people alive from the rubble and taken them to hospital, while others remain trapped on the debris. Emergency services, including civil defense and internal security forces, evacuated neighboring buildings amid fears they too could collapse due to structural instability. Residents and officials described chaotic scenes as neighbors rushed to help clear rubble with limited equipment. Lebanese President Joseph Oyen ordered all emergency services to remain on high alert and provide shelter and support for displaced residents. Prime Minister Yawaf Salam expressed condolences and pledged government assistance, including housing allowances for those who have lost homes. He described the incident as a tragedy resulting from years of infrastructure neglect and urged that it not be politicized. Local authorities and activists pointed to a long-standing crisis of unsafe, aging buildings in Tripoli, exacerbated by decades of economic hardship, lax enforcement of building codes, illegal construction practices, and damage from past conflicts and earthquakes. Municipal officials have warned that thousands of structures in the city are at risk of collapse in urgent inspections and reinforcements are not carried out. An official investigation into the collapse has been ordered, with government ministers meeting to coordinate emergency responses and long-term housing safety plans. Meanwhile, residents of the neighborhood continues to grapple with grief, fear and uncertainty as the rescue effort presses on. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
Prime Minister Otin Chavarakor's Bujatai party has won a clear and commanding victory in Thailand's general election held on 8 February 2026, according to unofficial results released by the Election Commission. With nearly all ballots counted, Bujatai emerged far ahead of its rivals, positioning Otin to continue as Prime Minister and potentially bringing an end to years of political instability in the kingdom. The report.
According to preliminary counts, the Bujatai party has secured around 193 to 194 of the 500 seats in the House of Representatives, making it the largest party in parliament. Although this tally falls short of the 251 seats needed for an outright majority, it gives Bujatai a strong mandate to lead coalition negotiations in the coming days. The Progressive People's Party finished in second place with roughly 116 seats, while the Pheu Thai Party, long linked to former Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra, came in third with about 74 seats, a result well below its traditional performance. In a press statement, Anutin thanked voters nationwide for the support and described the result as a clear message that the public wants Bujatai. He pledged that the party would uphold the democratic principles and serve all citizens, saying the outcome was a victory for all Thais, regardless of how they voted. Despite its lead, Bujatai will need to form a coalition to achieve a stable majority in the 500-seat lower house. Talks with other parties, including smaller conservative and regional groups, are expected to begin once official results are certified. Bujatai has indicated it will discuss cabinet posts and policy parity with partners, though specific arrangements have not yet been announced. The People's Party leader has conceded defeat and confirmed his party will take up its role in opposition rather than joining the Bujatai-led government, a stance that shapes the emerging Nigeria's banking sector. It also seeks to improve oversight of domestic payments and remittance system, addressing both existing and emerging financial risks. The reverse $6.8 million grant will be fully financed through the Finance for Development Multi-Donor Trust Fund, with no involvement from the World Bank's lending arm, meaning it will not add to Nigeria's external debt. The Central Bank of Nigeria will serve as the implementing agency for the project. The Nigeria Customs Service has once again reaffirmed its commitment to secure border governance and facilitate transit trade, following the federal government approval to reopen the Samiya border corridor in Kebbi State, according to a statement on Sunday by the National Public Relations Officer of the NCS, Abdullahi Maiwada. The decision was made known during a high-level stakeholders engagement held on Saturday at the Government House, Kebbi State. The statement explained that the engagement brought together security agencies, traditional leaders, economic operators, and international custom representatives. The engagement also provided a strategic platform to examine practical measures to strengthen Nigeria's northwest border architecture while ensuring legitimate trade flows seamlessly under strict compliance protocol. European equity futures moved higher on Monday, taking cues from strong gains in Asia, with Japan's weekend election delivered a landslide result that pushed Tokyo stock to record high. Future for the Euro Stocks 50, Germany DAX, and the UK FTSE were all up about 0.4% ahead of the market open. Shares of Novo Nordisk climbed around 4.5% after reports that US telehealth firm Hims & Hers will stop offering a low-cost GLP-1 pill, following warning from the US Food and Drug Administration. In corporate earnings, Italy UniCredit raised its profit outlook, adding to the positive market sentiment. Fuel activity was also in focus. A consortium led by Advent, alongside FedEx, agreed to acquire parcel locker company InPost in a deal valued at about $9.2 billion. Separately, reports said NatWest is nearing a €2.5 billion takeover of Evelyn Partners, while mining giant Anglo American is moving to sell its Diamond De Beers, with Angola seeking a 20% to 30% stake. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And now to the entertainment news. Nollywood actress Peggy Ovire recently sparked speculation about a marriage to Frederick Leonard after sharing an Instagram post about infidelity involving a married man and a married woman. The post reignited public interest in earlier claims by veteran producer Starlin Otop, who alleged in 2024 that Peggy and Frederick's marriage was forced and had already ended. The report.
In her post, Peggy posed a question to women about how they would react if they discovered their partner was having an affair with a married woman who has children. She described a situation where a husband publicly praises the other woman but privately belittles her to his wife, calling her local to avoid raising suspicion. According to the post, the wife trusted her husband's repeated denials that the relationship was anything more than friendship. The narrative further revealed that after marriage, the husband began comparing his wife unfavorably to the married side chick. Eventually, the wife discovered that her husband and the woman were meeting secretly at his apartment during work hours or in hotels, exposing the affairs he had persistently denied. In another development, Nigerian rapper and activist Falz has criticized the country's leadership and religious institutions over rising insecurity, lack of accountability, and a continued cycle of poor governance. In a recent commentary, Falz expressed frustration over recurring violence attacks across the country, lamenting that mass killings are often followed only by official statements without arrest or prosecution. He questioned the effectiveness of government responses and accused authorities of failing to protect citizens or deliver justice. The rapper also faulted religious leaders for focusing on spiritual solutions while allegedly allowing politicians to use church platforms for political campaigning. According to him, this practice contributes to voters repeatedly supporting leaders who have failed to address critical national issues. K-pop demon hunter songwriter Mark Sonnenblick has confirmed that a secure sequel of Netflix's most watched animated film is currently in development, describing the follow-up as in process. The new adds to growing momentum around the franchise, with creator Maggie Kang previously stating that there's definitely more to explore in the story and its characters. Sonny Blake has had a remarkable year, winning a Global Globe and a Grammy and earning an Academy Award nomination for co-writing Golden, the film's breakout hit and the first K-pop song to win a Grammy. Speaking after learning the song had been shortlisted for an Oscar, he credited fans for the recognition, saying the success was driven by audiences who embraced the film and encouraged others to watch it. While discussing about a sequel continue, Sonny Blake said development will begin with the story before any new music is written, ensuring the song serves the narrative. Alongside this, he is preparing for the London opening for his new musical Midnight at the Never Get this summer at the Manian Chocolate Factory, starring Ben Platt and set in an illegal gay bar in 1960s New York. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn Zibili reporting for BTV News.
And now to sports. Nigeria striker Victor Osimhen has earned widespread praise after gifting 10 million to players of Beyond Limits Football Academy, using the moment to share lessons on hard work, humility and faith. The gesture was made during a video call arranged by social media influencer Abdul Salam Idris, known as Smolly, as part of his YouTube documentary, The Side of Football Nobody Talks About. Speaking to the 35 young players, the Galatasaray forward reflected on his rise from humble beginnings and urged them to remain committed despite inevitable setbacks. He outlined three guiding principles behind his success: faith in God, relentless hard work, and readiness to face failure. Osimhen also stressed the importance of education, encouraging the players to stay in school, be literate, and surround themselves with positive influences. He concluded by emphasizing humility as a key trait for long-term growth before announcing the 10 million support for the academy's players. Beyond Limit Football Academy, founded in 2022 and based at the Remo Stars Stadium in Ekene, Ogun State, competes in Nigeria's second-tier league, the Nigeria National League. Osimhen's gesture sparked widespread praise on social media, with many hailing him as a symbol of hope for aspiring young footballers. And that's the end of our global news. Thank you for joining. Stay tuned at TV for our news updates. I am Ruth Ogbodu. Bye for now.
Beetv.